keenly aware of the existence of higher intelligences, and I recall, as I have brought out before, that my mother's uncle worked at the Vatican Secretary of State's office in the and in that capacity, he was privy to many things going on in the world of intrigue and international politics. And the things he used to talk about when I was a child about the occult or hidden wisdom behind the world scene. And
Yo, what's up, y'all?
Implications of the symbols and emblems and the religious philosophies and how all these things are all enmeshed in politics. And there, even within the Christian and Jewish religion, there is much proof in the Bible of the existence of angels or spirit creatures who are influencing man's destiny. So I have no problem with believing that there is some sort of a extraterrestrial, if you will, intelligence, because just even the knowledge that the ancient Sumerians, for instance, and the Egyptians had about our universe, about the whole concept of the precession of the equinox, how the sun moves backwards in the signs and the different astrological symbols and the astrological terms, and there's just too much occult or hidden knowledge that was known by the ancients that could not have been just intuitive. It had to have been from someone out there who brought the knowledge to us. And there's a lot of very good scholarship that's proving that there has been some sort of a connection between us and other life forms from out there. So I think it can be proven.
Yeah, but how do you see, in your opinion, and Michael, you can answer that too, in your opinion, how do you see this?
This is a young Jordan Maxwell. This is a Jordan Maxwell from the...
Well, first of all, I want to echo something that Jordan has said, because
I want to say
started the thought that I didn't complete a minute
60s.
ago, and that was that when we use the term UFO,
Damn, he sounded
it's
so
as if
young.
we're talking about our cars. If some beings from another planet came here and went back home and said, "Boy, they got great cars." Well, that's nice. How about the people? No, they're great. Okay, it's that when we talk about UFOs, we're actually talking about contact with non-human intelligence. It could be gods, it could be angels, it could be aliens, it could be extraterrestrials, it could be interdimensionals, we don't know. What it looks like is we're right at the threshold of realizing that we belong to this wildly diverse population of intelligent inhabitants of this, maybe right here of this planet even, things that live here, that have lived here longer than we have even, okay? Now, how does it fit in? It's problematic. If you look at the spread of opinion about the New World Order, there's, you could say, the politically correct view held by people like, say, Henry Kissinger, on the one hand, and then they're kind of spread out from there that get more and more conspiratorial, and a lot of it gets very, very religious, very tied, for example, to apocalyptic Christianity and so forth. Now, I have decided that I can only speak to the range of opinion and cannot...
Yo, what up, awesome,
say,
Andrew?
Right there, that part, that's the right part right there. I can't do that. And I don't think it's fair to do that, because we have a great many different people helping us paint a very complex picture here. But generally, we're faced with a number of different problems. Problem number one, are we actually in control of this planet or not? All right, and I believe that as far as we, practically speaking, here on Earth, the people of this planet, that may turn out to be the fundamental challenging issue of our time. Are we actually in charge of this planet or not? Or are we someone else's science experiment, someone else's political ghetto, someone else's petri dish, okay, someone else's penal colony? There are many definitions that have been applied to this situation, which are extremely problematic. I don't want to arouse any religious conniption fits here, but I have been puzzling about it, just as Jordan said, been puzzling a lot about the various religious traditions of the world, all of whom have pantheons of gods, who are described remarkably the same time after time after time. And the way it turns out is, it looks an awful lot as if...
It's the same God.
As if the gods were not God, capital G,
They were
some
little G's.
entirely transcendental, almighty, one super.
Hello, Soccer Sam.
But actually, a technologically sophisticated um, being, or group of beings more likely, who came in, set up shop, got everyone to build temples and landing fields and pyramid structures, which actually helped them to guide or maybe even channel energy in and so forth, and became the pantheons that we today call mythological, but in those days were absolutely real. And one of those gods, I think, has figured very large in our existence, and that is the god known as Yahweh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is God capital G, just, you know, one almighty high honcho? But the amazing thing is, Yahweh sounds an awful lot like a rather irascible warlord. If you read the literature, okay, and you say to yourself,
A jealous warlord?
one of the most fascinating things about the relationship between the ancient Hebrews and Yahweh was the ancient Hebrews were always disobeying Yahweh. I mean, isn't that why the Hebrews, isn't that why we say, why today the big myth is the Jews were always in trouble because they were always going against God? I had this idea the other day. I was thinking to myself, maybe it's because they had it right. Maybe it's because Yahweh was a real jerk, you know, and the Jews, being a very willful, very smart people, said, "We're going to follow this guy. You know, he's got great saucers and he's got great guns and he's got, he does flames really good, okay, but he's a jerk. We don't like this guy." Now, the Babylonians had their gods, and the Sumerians had their gods, the Egyptians had their gods. We had Yahweh. What did the gods do? They battled each other. But, when they were working, they were off raping people. And
It's really weird. It's kind of like he's saying the same thing that Gerald Clark. Gerald Clark was like talking about how those ancient peoples that they talked about, like those godheads or the demigods or whatever, they're like part of a group that's like has advanced technology and they're like commanders, they're like lieutenant commanders in an advanced civilization in like a intergalactic space travelers or some shit. I don't know if I believe all that, but that's what they make it sound like. With like how Gerald Clark talks about Enki and Eridu or Enkidu. He talks about them like they was colonel lieutenants in a space force or some shit. But Jordan Maxwell is over here talking about like maybe the Jews were really scared of their God. Like they was little G's, little gods. Man, Jordan Maxwell, that was him back in the 60s. He sounded so young. He sounded like a lot of these YouTubers I'm subscribed to. Like the really geeky dudes, like the geeky nerdy, geeky, super enthusiastic about specific things. Hello, Zelda, Melda. English or Spanish? Mostly English. Mostly English. I don't even know why we're talking about something that was from a different language like Hebrew. But, did Spanish and English even exist? I heard that they didn't. Oh shit, if I move, I'm gay. Oh fuck, I just moved. I was instantly gay. Damn. Oh man. I don't want to be gay right now. I got a broke toe. If you move, you're gay. How about that? How does that feel now? How's that feel now? Want to turn you into stone like Medusa? Have you ever seen all them Japanese streamers, all them Asian streamers, and they're groaning after they say a sentence? You ever hear them groan after they say a sentence? Sometimes they be talking and they be like, huh? Oh, man. I only groan and moan after I take a drug. Or if I hurt myself. And I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want no drug right now. I got a broke toe. The fuck? If you move, you're gay. How about that? Alright, let's play this Jordan Reds.
And burning other people's villages down and stuff like that. I mean, it says so in the Bible. Okay, if we're going to take the Bible literally, we might as well take it literally and say, okay, now what does this tell us about today? What it tells us about today is a number of things. First of all, mythology is a very tricky business. And mythology is always happening. We're in a time today when we're building new mythology. Okay, and the mythology is going to, in a sense, supersede some of the old mythology. But we're at a time today when you might say the sky is opening up and possibilities we didn't ever imagine are raining down on us. And it's going to get very, very surprising. Very surprising, okay? Scary maybe. Scary maybe. Surprising definitely. I think
I'm just bothered by everything because I don't have a girlfriend.
We're going to find out that they're not as nice.
Yo, what up, Marcoid?
As we want them to be.
I'm just bothered by everything because I don't have a girlfriend.
They want us to think they are, but they do pose a challenge. Fundamentally, right down, bottom line, is this our planet or not?
A good girlfriend.
This is a very good reason for people to sit up and pay attention because we believe in aliens or not, whether you believe in Illuminati or not, we do have to answer the fundamental question: are we willing to take responsibility for this planet? That is the question of the
See,
day.
Marcoid's been there.
Whether you're an environmentalist or whether you're talking about recapturing
I figured it out.
The democratic process, whatever your particular angle is, the question is, are you willing to take responsibility for this planet or not? Because there are people and there are beings out there who are wrestling for control of this planet. I'm sure of that. And that, I believe, is where that intersection is occurring.
At that point, I'd like to...
Yeah, you also, let me just, you write something about that we are going into...
Y'all don't fuck around and stay single too long now.
Well, yes, and that's according to the Bible.
Yeah.
Because,
that shit'll fuck with your head.
The Bible is telling us an encoded story. I think there's more to the story than has met the eye. But one point I wanted to bring out is that...
Yeah, that sucks.
The Old and New Testament
You're right.
of the Bible.
You're right.
In all of the Bible,
you're right about that, Marcoid.
There are only two scriptures in the entire Bible where the word God is used, and of course it's used all the way through. There are only two scriptures where that word God, it means a nebulous, all-encompassing, divine, spiritual force in the universe. Only two scriptures mean that. All of the scriptures in the Bible,
it's really important.
God means actual entities. More than one.
That's right, more than one.
More than one, and that's why even more than one, because in Genesis
it's really
1:1,
important.
it is a mistranslation to say, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That is not what it says in Hebrew. It says, in the beginning, Elohim created the universe, or created the heavens and the earth. Elohim is God in the plural, more than one. That's why later on in Genesis 1, or Genesis 2, God says, come, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Now, here's an interesting point. The rabbis that I have talked with say that there are two different ways to understand that scripture that says in Genesis 2, God said, come, let us make man in our image according to our likeness. There is the one way that we understand that, which is we are reading it to say that God is saying to someone, let's make a creature called man, and we'll call him man.
Creatures make life confusing. You don't like them?
Like us, or have our attributes or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it could be saying, and the rabbis believe it is actually saying, the emphasis should be on different words. Come, let us make man in our image.
Yeah, they got lost in the translation. You know, he struggled so hard with translation. Jordan Maxwell really tried to translate it for folks because, like how you say you don't like preachers, it just, it's different than what it used to be. They tried to make it a whole bunch that what it wasn't. And, yeah, there's good preachers and there's bad preachers. Just like doctors. Just like anybody, any kind of job. Man, Jordan Maxwell trying to get in the translation, he really talks about that over and over again. But, you know, I'm over here hella confused. I'm like, what kind of man? Like, it was already a man. They was just tweaking with another man. Which kind of man are you talking about? Because there was multiple men on the planet in history, in the record books. You know, that's the whole reason why people are still talking about Bigfoot. People still talking about Bigfoot like it was a whole gorilla. Yo, what up, Tory Loves? What up, Tory Loves? Have you ever seen a gorilla? I'd be scared as fuck. I don't really think they turned a gorilla into a man. I don't want to turn a gorilla into a man, but I don't know, you know, what are they breeding? Why are they talking about breeding, seeding? Like that panspermia. Panspermia is about seeding. What y'all got going on tonight? What are you gonna get into? What y'all getting into? Swiping up the live streams. I already know. Hey, like and subscribe. Bigfoot is fantastical for people. Yeah. I mean, they say they did find this big finger bone. They found this big finger bone to like Gigantopithecus. It's like a 10-foot tall ape. And it probably had red hair. But ain't none of them walking around right now. They're extinct. But was we alive back then when those 10-foot thing tall gorillas was not extinct, when they was alive? Did we see that shit? They still talking about it in Asia like they still saw it. Like they call them the Yeti. I don't even want to think nobody turned a Yeti into a man. But You know, they say our foreheads looked a whole lot different back in the day, so there's a different kind of... Are you part Neanderthal? You're part Neanderthal, ain't you? Yeah, me too. Are you part Denisovan? Denisovan? They don't even know about that either. They just found a finger bone to that. And they think they know everything. I need to cut my hair, yo.
According to our likeness, implying that man's already here, but for being so great, he's not that great. So someone is stepping in and intervening in our evolution and saying, let's take man and make him in our image. Let's fix him.
Yeah.
Because right now he's progressing, but it's going to take him another 1,000,000 years to figure out what's going on. Why don't we take a male and a female, take them over and do something with them genetically, put them in an area, because the Bible does not say that God created man in the Garden of Eden. It says the gods created man and put him into the garden.
And when they left the garden, they left and found people out there. It says so in the Bible, okay?
Yeah.
There were all around the garden were people.
And when Adam and Eve were told, had 2 sons, Cain and Abel, when Cain kills his brother Abel, God says you have to leave out of this protected area. Cain says to God in the scriptures, do not send me out there, because anyone finding me out there is going to kill me.
Yeah.
Now he's got God believing there's somebody out there, because God says, no, I'm not going to let them kill you. I'll put a mark on you. Now God believes there's somebody out there. The point is that there must have been people out already there, but not as highly developed and not highly evolved.
See, it was already people. They didn't turn a gorilla into a man.
If you took a caveman or a Neanderthal race of people and took 2 out and then...
Oh, there he goes
through
talking
some
about
sort
it,
of
yeah.
high technology genetically changed them and evolved them.
Damn, he was talking about that
and
back in the
sent you
60s.
back out
Imagine
into
that
a
shit.
Neanderthal civilization. Now you're going to be totally different, and they're going to remember that you left and now you come back different. It all smacks of something else that's in the Bible that we haven't been told.
So you let's get this. The New World Order, you see it? Do you see it as a breakdown of the religion and our thinking, or how we've been taught, or do you actually see it? They will come back and someone else will rule us. We'll talk about this in just a few minutes. We'll take a very short break and we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Elvira's Past, Present, and Future, and to our great guests, Michael Lindemann and Jordan Maxwell. And I'm going to let you answer that question that I just asked before we went on a break. I also want to remind you, in a few minutes, we will take any phone call.
Truth Seeker and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact.
Yeah, that was some like interviewer that had no idea what he was talking about.
Lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
tuned into the Truth Seeker Podcast.
Girls, psychics, everything's ungodly. Don't savage.
Living live at truthseeker.com.
She's not a Christian.
Give it up, y'all. Portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering and dark-sided stuff.
And now, your host, Truth Seeker.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. This is the Truth Seeker Podcast. I'm your host, Truth Seeker. We're excited and delighted to be here tonight. Got an awesome show planned for you guys. Got a special guest tonight. Before we get into it, I got to say a huge thank you. It's 2018, and I want to say a huge thank you to all the patrons. Everybody supporting my work at patreon.com. That's patreon.com/truthseeker. The last time that I talked to Jordan, I had just been released from my day job. 10 years being a truck driver and got fired. Made somebody mad, they let me go, get me to the curve. And then so it was just like a beckoning from the universe to say, okay, you're doing music, you're doing podcasts, you're doing interviews. Let's take it, let's do it full time. I've tried that. It's been a few months now, probably about 4 or 5 months now. And now we're even stronger than ever because you guys have come out of the woodwork to support my music, my work. You guys have been supporting on Patreon. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. 2018, I'm excited for it. So much ahead of us. If you guys want to give, you can head on over to patreon.com/truthseeker, and you get all kind of cool perks, unreleased music, extra podcasts. You get access to my Discord. We got that up now, private Discord chat and hangout, and bunch of cool stuff. But enough about me. We're gonna get right into the show. Jordan Maxwell, what's going on, my brother? How are you?
Well, I think okay for the moment. 77 years old. I just had a birthday a couple of days ago, but I'm doing pretty good considering everything. Well, good to be back on the air with you.
Happy belated, definitely.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's good to see you. Good spirits. And you know what? Every time we do a podcast, Jordan, you know how to get the people riled up, man. It's something about having a controversial show, which sometimes is walking on eggshells, but I found out that controversy sells. Like, that's what the people want to hear. What is it about Jordan Maxwell that always brings forth the controversy?
Well, I think it's because I have always, even as a kid, I've always gravitated toward the secrets, the dark stuff that nobody knows and nobody wants to talk about. And even as a kid, I would ask questions of adults that make them very uncomfortable. They don't want to talk about these kind of things. And even my mother used to say, well, those are not subjects that polite people talk about in polite company. And I said, well, then let's just assume I'm impolite. I want to know. I'm questioning the integrity of everything. I want to know what God is and what God isn't, and what the government is, and where the money comes from, and who's running the show. And so I started off on the bottom, and I kind of worked my way down from there. And so I've always been controversial because that's the way I think. I mean, I always look at the dark side of everything. I mean, you see a beautiful marriage taking place and all the people are happy, but I'm looking at the next 20 years. Let's see what's going to happen, And then when you see a pretty girl or a handsome young man, outwardly they are very handsome and beautiful until you talk with them, and then you find out that there's nothing upstairs at all. They have no idea what they're doing. And their life is going to be a tragedy. I can tell by the way they're talking and things they're saying. I can tell they have no idea what's going on in the world. And so I've always kind of tended to look at the dark side of everything. And now I can truthfully tell you, after doing it for some 58 years, everything has a dark side. And so you need to wake up and discover the world you live in is not what you think it is. And there's a lot of good, but there's far, far more evil, far more deception. And there are good people
Son
doing
of a
good
bitch.
things, and I appreciate that. But there's a lot of dark stuff going on in the world today, and I think the people are waking up to that fact.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all. It's not like George Carlin said about the people who run the planet. He says it's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Even if you think you are. Yeah,
even if you think you're smart, you're not in it. And so I have my own viewpoints on the subjects, but I have discovered that in religion and government and commerce and life in general, nothing is what you think it is. And there's always another part of the story you weren't told. And so that's true in banking and commerce and business, and why people get in trouble in business is because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what the words mean. So that's what I do. I purposely try to not offend anyone, because that's not my purpose, is to offend. But what I want to do is to catch people's attention. And then once you've got their attention, explain to them how the world really works. And it doesn't work the way you think it does. And you find that.
It goes like Apostle Paul. What did Apostle Paul say? Have I become your enemy because I tell you
the truth?
Yes.
Right, exactly. And so I believe that the New Testament story in the Bible, the basic story of Jesus in the New Testament, I believe, based on my work, that, and I've only been looking at it for 58 years, but I'm sure that I'm onto something. I believe the New Testament is a metaphor. I think it's a symbolic story, and it's well developed in symbolism.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand the symbols and what the different people and the different places represent in the symbology, then you're
that's why it's so
never going to
confusing.
really get the real story of the New Testament. You're going to take the New Testament as history.
Yeah.
And if you take it as history, then you're really going to be confused.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening today in Christianity
encoded.
all over the earth.
It's encoded.
It's nothing but confusion. The eastern part of the world, Eastern and Greek and Russian Orthodox, do not see things the same way the Roman Catholic Church does. The
You just said
Protestants
metaphor.
and the Western world don't see the things that the Church does. So there's all kinds of confusion and chaos. And so I'm saying that the reason why there's confusion and chaos in religion, in government, in commerce and everything else in life is because you don't understand the symbols. You don't know what's...
Yes, about the symbols. About the metaphors, about the subject.
See you coming like a train in the distance, watching everything change in an instant. Slow down, it won't sink in. You're home, out there in the great unknown. Going to
November 311. That's one of their new songs.
Lost.
God damn, man. Mario Ochoa? How do you say that? Ochoa? Ochoa. Mario Ochoa. No, he made a really good song called Beast.